right, hey everyone, welcome to Live, Breathe, Film. You are on with Murph, Corey, Doug, and JP. This is episode 3, and today we're going to be talking about a couple things that have been going on in film very recently, and that is the Reunited Apart special for The Lord of the Rings. And then with this summer actually kicking off, we're past Memorial Day, we're going to do a summer movie preview, an unconventional one, since it's an unconventional summer.
Sure.
But let's get right into things, guys, with The Lord of the Rings. So I know all of you saw the latest installment of Josh Gad's Reunited Apart series, and he went big. He went out of the 80s, he went into the new millennium, a little bit after Y2K, and gave us The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's epic trilogy from the J.R.R. Tolkien novels. What do you guys think overall? Did you enjoy it more than past installments?
What
think it was overcrowded?
I mean, they're all actors. They're probably used to taking cues and waiting turns, so that probably helped a little bit. But I can't even imagine a Zoom call with that many people with my friends. It would be chaos. But man, it was well done. It was really well done.
Yeah, I thought about it. I wonder, like the kind of, because there has to be some sort of preparation beforehand. Like they all have to get on a call beforehand, I feel like, and kind of hash out, in some way, because I feel like it'll end up just being chaos, like as JP said. But I really enjoyed it. I think it was my favorite one so far, other than Back to the Future. I feel like they keep getting better and better as he does them, and it's a really cool thing that I hope he continues to do, like even once everything kind of goes back to whatever normal is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a feat definitely to have that many people on a call. I don't know that I liked it better than Back to the Future, but I'm very biased towards Back to the Future. But it was good. I thought it was well done. Everyone, for the most part, got their time to shine. And it was fun to have that group of people together where they definitely had a camaraderie. They all got the tattoos. It's definitely like a group of people that you could tell they enjoyed their time together.
I like the intro a lot, like with Sean Astin, like how they kind of, segued into everyone coming on. That was really cool and well done. Yeah,
I agree on the way they're doing intros. They're getting more creative with it. They're definitely used video editing to these. There's no doubt about it. I think they've already showed kind of like bloopers and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. But there's definitely camera tricks and things that they're doing to make this thing work, because it would be pretty damn impressive to get it right on one shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was my personal favorite of the ones so far. I know I've noted to you guys that I feel that they're a little quick.
This was not quick.
No, I like the supersized aspect of it, and I felt like nothing was rushed.
Yeah.
Like I wish Back to the Future was closer to an hour than 25 to 30 minutes, whatever that one was, along with the rest of them.
It gives it more time to breathe,
Yeah,
it feels
exactly.
like way too quick. 25 minutes. I think like an hour is perfect.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way. I'm definitely going to feel that way for the next one when they do,
Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Ghostbusters coming up. I know JP would have called out Ghostbusters a couple weeks ago, but we didn't think that would be happening with the new movie coming out next year.
Yeah.
But the reunion's happening earlier than expected.
Yep.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the apathetic, the attitude of Bill Murray. Probably doesn't want to be there, but
maybe Rick
see
Moranis.
how that goes. Maybe Rick Moranis. That'd be fantastic.
So Murph and I were talking about this the other day. It originally had a date of 6/8, and then they had to come out later, which would be today. They had to come out later and say that 6/8 is not going to happen anymore. And my personal opinion is that Bill Murray somehow just like threw a wrench in everything, as Bill Murray would do. and that Bill Murray was the problem. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think they're just trying to pull in Rick Moranis too, or why aren't we getting this on 6/8?
I mean, it's hard to tell.
We should have had it today.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be just a scheduling thing, but I don't imagine anyone's really going out and doing anything right now.
Yeah.
I know some movies have started to film again, so might just be one of those things.
Do we think Bill Murray's just dressed up as a zombie and blending in?
He might be.
I mean, it could also be like to Murph's point. There's a lot of production. It seems like, especially now, like they try to hide it, but maybe they needed more time editing. Whoever does it, maybe it's filmed and like they needed to edit. Because I know, like with the last episode with the Lord of the Rings one, there was like Zoom issues where someone's video went out and they just cut into like a scene of the movie. So maybe they had technical issues. Maybe that's why they had to push it. I don't know. That's an idea.
It's entirely possible. Maybe someone couldn't get their microphone working.
Yeah.
Could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
I like to think that it's a last minute grab getting Rick Moranis to do it, and they had to push back the date because of availability.
Yeah.
But we'll find out shortly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
I really hope we get it this week.
I mean, he's a country music star now. He's busy.
It's true. Getting slightly back on track,
right,
though.
and then,
I mean, how many more movies with Sean Astin can they do? They've done Goonies. They've done Lord of the Rings. What else can they get?
They could do 50 First Dates. You can get Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore.
Hey.
They joked about Rudy, I think.
I would.
Yeah, and they joked about Encino Man.
I'd be down for Rudy. Encino Man would be great. That would be great.
I mean, it's got 3 people who we still talk about to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see Brendan Fraser in anything. I don't care what it is.
But as for who did the best job getting into character, who would you guys say? Corey, yours is, I think everyone can agree on the fact that we all knew he was going to be fantastic, so I'll let you go with yours first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely conflicted, but I think there were definitely more than one actor that really brought their A game, but Andy Serkis definitely was probably at the top of the list. Just he doesn't skip a beat. Like he was able to just fall right back into Gollum's voice and just give like a really cool like short performance that was just nostalgic. It was fun. He just seemed like he was having a really good time. It was, a lot of them seemed like they were happy to see each other, but he seemed like he was having an awesome time just being there. So yeah, he's definitely my pick.
Yeah, and like I said before, I think we all expected him to be great. I mean, that's his wheelhouse, voice acting, under mocap. So there's no reason why he wouldn't kill it like that. And he did it in The Hobbit fairly recently.
True.
And Doug, you had somebody who also recently revived the role in the Hobbit movies.
Yeah, I did. I had Sir Ian McKellen as my pick of who just stepped right back into the role of Gandalf. I mean, Ian McKellen's a powerhouse actor anyway, so I had no doubt that he'd be able to just pull off jumping back into the role. I love hearing that guy just deliver lines, whether it's Gandalf or even like Magneto. He just brings like a gravitas to any role he does, and I loved different movie, but I loved X-Men with him and Sir Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, just kind of the back and forth between them, just because they're both actors, classically trained theater actors, and they bring a lot of gravitas. And I think Ian McKellen, very apparent when he was on this Zoom call for the Reunited part, just the acting background and the pedigree that he brings.
Yeah, one thing with Ian McKellen that, and I mean, all the actors clearly were doing this because they're not going to remember their lines, but with him, you could tell that he was reading his lines from the movie, like whatever line he was reading, and he just was able to just fall right back into that same inflection and just give a very, very similar performance from what we remember from the movie. And that just blows my mind that an actor able to do that. I can't even imagine. So that was impressive to me. And I mean, he wasn't the only one who did it, but that I definitely was a standout for me.
The other thing I liked is Ian McKellen, and at least the way I've seen him in other things, like he had a drink in his hand. I think it was a glass of wine. So I was like able to appreciate that he was like, I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to enjoy myself. Yeah, he's a party guy.
Yeah, I think I know I personally agree that those two were in my top three. I imagine JP probably feels the same way. But
yeah,
we'll go into ours, who we both put down, and that's John Rhys Davies, Gimli. So the reason why I threw him as my pick was I wasn't necessarily expecting him even to partake in it. I don't know why, but I think it was just maybe that he wasn't in Indiana Jones 4 that I was like, maybe he's just, and that was like over a decade ago.
He's smart for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's right.
Absolutely.
He read the script.
But I wasn't expecting him to just go right back into it as well as he did, and to be all in with like the helmet and everything like that. Yeah. Tilting his camera so you wouldn't see him when he's doing the one part where they're joking about his height. I just thought it was really fun seeing him go back and forth with Orlando Bloom.
And that Indy Easter egg too. He put on what's his name's hat at the end.
Fez. Yeah,
the Fez.
Yeah, the fact that he, doing Sala at the end that tipped it over the top.
Yeah, pulling the helmet out was big for me. I mean, he started the great prop war that everyone started pulling out their swords and their helmets. Carl Urban's got the helmet.
Yeah, the giant helmet.
I mean, you're the MVP when you do something like that, and then you get that going, and that was just fantastic.
I was waiting for Ian McKellen to put on his Gandalf wig and then come back on camera.
He comes back out with a bottle of wine and the full Gandalf robe on.
The hat.
He's got the hat. He's actually casting spells in his English mansion.
It would have been impressive if some of them had like the Hobbit feet on. Like throw their like gross ass like feet on the throne.
That was fantastic. I was so happy to see that, and
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Speaking of people that we didn't think would be on, let's go to people who weren't actually on. So for the most part, like we said, there was a ton of people on this, but there were some notable omissions that weren't discussed at all. For example, Ian Holm, they had the note for him, Bilbo Baggins, and then they had, what's his name? In the end credits, they had the one person, the king, or king of Rondor,
Rohan.
Rohan, yeah.
Yeah.
Gondor, Rohan.
Yeah. I forgot his name. He
popped up.
Yeah.
Something Bernard. Because we were just talking about The Office. I'm thinking of Andy Bernard. Bernard Hill. That's what it is. But there were, I'd say,
obviously Christopher Lee.
Yeah,
and Christopher Lee because he passed.
Yeah,
they had a short tribute type thing to him.
Yeah,
which was very nice.
Yeah, that was very nice.
But was there anyone that wasn't on at all that you hoped would have been there?
I mean, I felt like
the obvious one is Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
That would be the only one that I would think about. I feel like they hit more of the bases of all the actors, the main actors and characters, than I thought they were going to. Liv Tyler was very surprising to me. I thought that was surprising that she popped up. But I mean, I'm gonna say probably Hugo Weaving would probably be the only one that would come to mind for me as well.
I think it would have been cool if Cate Blanchett was there. Not that her character was like a blast or anything like that, but she's like pretty funny when you see her like on like round tables and things like that. So I think she could have been a good addition, and she was a big part of that first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elf witch.
Yeah,
person.
who suddenly goes like freaking crazy, and you don't expect that to come at all.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah,
She goes into it, and then she comes out of it pretty quickly. So for
But Doug, I think there was one that you had.
Yeah, so based on the last episode, this is probably not going to be a huge surprise. But fringe standout, John Noble, the Mad King.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't make an appearance. I'm not incredibly surprised. I don't know if it's that John Noble just doesn't show up to these things or just he doesn't get an invitation, but he's an awesome actor. I'm sure he would have killed it in any sort of screen reading. I'm sure him and Pippin could have had like a good back and forth. But he wasn't there, so it's a little let down by that, but they did get a lot of people, and I don't know that he was a major part of the movie outside of, was it the second movie?
Yeah, Two Towers.
So I get that. It was really, movie 2 is really his where he has a big role. So
I almost think that they probably had, well, Josh Gad and whoever else produces it probably had more of an, the opposite problem as they've had in the past, where they probably had too many people, because it got, it was crazy how many people were on that Zoom call towards the end. It was impressive, that, and they
didn't even have a couple other characters. Faramir's brother wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And Brad Dourif, who was Grima Wormtongue in Two Towers. I'd say those were probably the only others that we haven't referenced so far as being like one of the really memorable characters in the series.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to see the guy that played Celeborn so he could utter his famous line, for the memes. Tell me, where's Gandalf? For I much desire to speak with him. Powerhouse of a line.
And they didn't have any Urukai or orcs. So we didn't get we didn't get some fantastic line readings of the meat and what was the line that we always joke about? Or the leg.
Looks like meat's back on the menu.
How about their legs? They don't need those.
We did get the great Samwise quote that is now a meme with potatoes. They did that.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Getting potatoes.
Boil and mash them, stick them in the stew.
That was great. And then Boromir's
The One Ring.
Yep. His line reading. And it was interesting. His was probably one of the more interesting back-scene stories of him not actually knowing that dialogue right then, because it was new dialogue. So he had kept looking down to do his scene.
And
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Was that like a new little tidbit that came out of this Reunited apart, or was that already known? Because I never knew that.
It was probably. I imagine it was in the special features on those DVDs because they were so expansive.
Buried in 700 hours.
Because now when you watch the scene, because I immediately watched that scene in its entirety just to see, and I was like, oh my god, you could tell, that is literally what he's doing. He's looking down at the script.
He only does it though the one time on camera.
Yeah,
it's the time of the GIF where he's like, this, and then it's that moment, and the rest of it I think was cut in a way where probably all of his times like this didn't actually make it into the movie.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, that was a really nice fact, and definitely called Sean Bean out.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting that Peter Jackson said, even though the budget was so big, that the movie was, he made it almost like an indie film, that they were changing shit on the fly, writing new scenes, new lines, a couple minutes before they would film, and look how it turned out. I mean, it's Crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the. It was probably would say the most ambitious film trilogy of all time, and obviously it turned out to be a classic. Would we all say that it was the greatest film trilogy of all time? Where do we stand on that?
I feel like that's a can that you open, we might burn a couple hours.
I mean,
obviously Iron Man.
Obviously.
Okay,
Really strong first movie, shitty second and third movie.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely in contention for sure. I mean, I'd have to think about it, but it's definitely possible for me. One of the best, definitely. If only.
Yeah, I mean, it's easily got to be top 3.
If only Avengers 2.
There's no doubt it's top 3.
If only Avengers 2 wasn't shitty, then, we could have had that. I would say that would be in contention, that trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would say my top 3 trilogies would be Lord of the Rings, Toy Story, and the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
The fact that Toy Story does have a 4th one, I will kind of push that aside then for the sake of this conversation and say I do think The Lord of the Rings is the overall best trilogy.
Yeah. So, to complete aside, I saw a video this week, I think it was, where some guy cut the ending of Toy Story right before they go into the, spoiler alert, the third one right into the incinerator. He faded to black and had his mom watch it. And she had never seen the movie before. And he let her stew for a whole 24 hours. And the movie ends with all the toys going into the incinerator and dying. And I'm just like, I remember watching that movie and thinking, if they cut this right here, I'm walking out of this theater.
It's a dark movie if you cut
it. It is.
Oh man, it was.
We've been walking out of that theater while we're with a 40 ouncer.
Yeah,
that's what we walk into that theater with.
So I mean, Atlantic City. It's not the worst place to walk out of a movie theater and go drown your sorrows. But I mean, sitting at the bar, some bartenders asked me, "What are you crying about, kid?" Over there, I'm like, "A bunch of toys died in a CGI movie."
My favorite toys are dead.
Yeah, so I thought that was fun.
Doug,
I mean, that would be a trilogy ending.
Yeah, right. Doug, are you going to say Back to the Future is the best trilogy of all time, or are you going to go with Lord of the Rings or a different one?
That's a good question. I can't give it to Back to the Future because 2 is always weaker to me the older I get.
Okay, interesting.
Whereas 1 has become like the very clear strongest in the series, and then 3 I've just never liked. The conclusion of the chicken saga that started into. For me, it wouldn't be Back to the Future. It'd be hard to give it those to Lord of the Rings too, just because I really just going back and watching Fellowship of the Ring like a couple days ago. I just don't love that movie. It's a little too much setup, and don't get me wrong, 2 and 3 I think are fantastic movies, but the first episode is just so much setup. It just kind of loses me a bit in the fantasy setup. And oh, hey, here's this character, and this is this character, and I get it's like it needs to be done, but it just to consider that as part of the trilogy, I just don't know that I could give it to. I think Lord of the Rings, like you said, is top 3. I don't know that's number 1. I think probably the Dark Knight trilogy is probably my top trilogy.
I mean, you also got to consider Star Wars, the original 3 movies, 4, 5, and 6.
That's true.
And then you got The Godfather. You could throw that in there, even though,
it's very top heavy with the first 2.
Little bit.
But
I mean, I would even argue that The Dark Knight Rises is not that great of a movie.
I like that movie a lot.
That's the toughest part of trilogies is that third part.
I do have one.
When they actually pull off part 3, yeah, let's hear it.
So,
John Wick, 1, 2, and 3. That is a solid trilogy.
I thought the third one was a little weak.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And we're gonna have part 4 in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we
Not even a
include
real trilogy.
Star Wars, though, like that's another one where it's like it was originally a trilogy, but it's not anymore.
Still to me.
It's very much a distinct. I think anyone can make a claim that any of those 3 trilogies count as its own trilogy. Like you wouldn't say Lord of the Rings doesn't count because there was a Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah,
That's true. And then, if you want to talk about top-heavy trilogies, Alien.
Yeah.
1 and 2, which are fantastic, and then 3, which is...
disappointment, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and when Corey, you brought up John Wick, the Bourne trilogy, the first 3 movies, that's one of those series where they kind of get better each movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then they did the one with Jeremy Renner, and things slowly started going downhill. But
I never saw that one.
I mean, Indiana
Don't worry.
Jones, too.
don't worry about seeing it. Yeah, Indiana Jones as well. All right, but yes, now we are just throwing out trilogies, and like JP said, this could turn into a 3-hour conversation. So let's move on to the summer movie preview. It's a little later for summer movie preview than usual. Typically, you would start it around late April, beginning of May, but not a normal year. So we're starting it with June. Movie theaters still aren't open, but the fact that this upcoming weekend we actually have 2 movies that are highly anticipated coming out on streaming, it just feels like now would be the time to start talking movies for summer 2020.
It's almost actually summer.
Yeah, and it's almost actually summer.
And we hope these movies are actually going to come out in summer.
They might come out everywhere else in the country.
And it's possible only 2 of them come out. And they're the ones that are coming out this weekend. But we'll go real quick into what's coming out this weekend, let you know where you can watch them. And those 2 movies are The King of Staten Island and Da 5 Bloods. So The King of Staten Island, that's coming out on VOD. You got to pay for it this weekend. It's Judd Apatow directed film, starring and co-written by Pete Davidson. It's sort of in the vein of Trainwreck, which Judd Apatow directed with Amy Schumer, where it feels a bit semi-autobiographical. So that's out on Amazon, Apple, anywhere where you can really just buy a movie. I don't even know if it's available to rent or if it's only like $20 to buy, but find out later this week. And I imagine we will definitely be talking about it next week, since a bunch of us are looking forward to watching it. Another one coming out this weekend. I don't know if this had originally had a plan for a limited release. King of Staten Island was going to be a wide release in theaters, but this one is a Netflix movie. So if it was going to be in theaters, it was always going to be only a small amount of them just to be in the running for Academy Awards. But because of COVID, it doesn't need to be in theaters to be in the running for Academy Awards this year. And that's Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods. I'd say, I know we said we weren't going to be talking about what's going on in the world right now, but Spike Lee is somebody who always does kind of topical movies for the Black community. So really, there couldn't be a more timely period for something with an all-Black cast. It's dealing with the Vietnam War and I believe 4 vets that are going back to Vietnam to find some sort of treasure that was buried with their fallen squad leader, played by Chadwick Boseman. So if you have a Netflix account, you can watch it for free this weekend. And Spike Lee's last film, BlacKkKlansman, was one of the highlights for me of that year when it came out. So I'm looking forward to see if that was sort of a one-time return to form for a director incredibly important in American film history.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I imagine, again, we will be speaking about that further next week.
Sure.
moving on, we go all the way into July when theaters are actually looking like they will be open. And
We'll see.
while we thought Tenet would be the summer opener, that's not the case. JP, you want to talk about what will be our summer opener in theaters this year?
Yeah. The spiritual successor to Joyride. Unhinged. A dumpy Russell Crowe gets in a little road rage incident with a woman and proceeds to wreck her entire life and everything that she loves. It looks fantastic, and honestly, it's sort of a glimpse into my undoing, because this will probably happen to me one day when I'm on the road. But it truly, like, it looks like Joyride, where it's just a car chasing someone, crashing into stuff. It looks like a fun movie. It looks like a movie that I would like to go into theaters in and shovel popcorn into my face while I watch Russell Crowe destroy things, which I feel like is a movie time tradition.
There you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that type of movie is so entertaining, whether it's Joyride or Steven Spielberg's Duel from back in the 70s.
Or
whenever it's just
The Car.
Yeah, or the classic The Car. Whenever you're dealing with sort of a psycho in a truck, car, whatever, what have you, it typically is entertaining.
I mean,
So
it
you were
speaks
gonna
to
say
most
something?
people that drive.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I love that. Like, Unhinged was like, "Fuck you, Tenet. We're gonna be the first movie in theaters."
Christopher
We're doing
Nolan
it.
probably wants to kill Russell Crowe right now. Like, you will never be in one of my films.
I would
wanna be
love
the
to
start
see
of cinema.
that fight that lasts like 4 seconds. Russell Crowe looks big in this movie too. It's like the Nice Guys, but he probably put on like another 20 pounds, and I think it might have been muscle underneath the fat this time. So he's looking big, and I like it.
There you go. Well, you'll be able to see it at, I believe, Cinemark. They start opening later this month, and they should be open by like July 10th, like all across the nation. At least that's what they're claiming now. So we will see.
Did AMC make a statement? Did they make a statement?
Yeah, they've said they're basically bankrupt. That was their statement. They have not said when they're opening.
Cool. I'm glad I have a Stubbs account.
Yeah.
At least they paused it. You're on pause right
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
Exactly.
I'm not getting
They'll be
charged.
on pause until they never open again. But as we mentioned, Tenet, though, everyone would agree, is the big summer opener, July 17th. Hopefully it comes out. If not, I imagine we'll see it this fall. JP, again, there's the film coming out the week after Tenet. Was supposed to come out earlier this year. You want to talk a little bit about Mulan?
Yeah, Mulan. I mean, a lot has changed since the classic cartoon version in 1998. I mean, they've gotten rid of Li Shang, who was played by Donny Osmond. It's one of my favorite characters and songs of all time from that movie. It seems like they're a little more grounded in reality here. There's no Mushu, the little dragon. There's no cricket. It seems a little generic, honestly. I know in our house, my wife's a big fan of Mulan, and she is not super jazzed about seeing this. But, I mean, it probably has its place, and I'm sure it'll be a pretty unique showing. I mean, based on everything that's been coming out this summer, it definitely has its spot, and it's going to be, like the young teen movie of the summer, probably. Mm-hmm. I know they brought a lot of stuff out, and Artemis Fowl probably would have filled that void, but that's out in Disney Plus fairly soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine it's going to look real pretty. I imagine it's going to be a decent movie, but it just looks a little watered down from the original, cartoon version.
Yeah, I've never actually seen the original.
Oh, really?
I haven't either.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like the only 90s Disney movie I haven't seen yet. I have it on my watch list on Disney
There are
Plus.
some jams in that. There's some real good songs.
Well, I will definitely be checking that out soon, and then I think that will decide whether I'm going to see this new one or not. All right. Moving on to August, another film that was supposed to come out, I believe, about a week or so ago. It was a May release, but that's another kids movie, another adaptation. The SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. Corey,
So
want to take it?
I didn't even remember that this movie was coming out, but when I was looking at this list, I don't remember what movie it was, but it was clearly when, before March, when the theaters were still open. I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, SpongeBob is still like relevant, like they're still doing this.
I think I remember you saying that when we saw Sonic.
I mean, I was pleasantly surprised because I love SpongeBob, but I didn't think that SpongeBob was still, even with kids, I didn't think that it was still popular. Even though I feel like SpongeBob has always been more popular with college kids and stoners than anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just missed it. And as I would say, what are we, like middle-aged millennials right now?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I would say the younger millennials, Gen Z, they are high on SpongeBob. And I work with a ton of them. They throw up SpongeBob memes and shit like that. I have no idea what these references are.
Yeah.
Very, very, very sad. But
we had our fair share of people.
I'm an older person.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if AMC was open, I would probably go see it with my Stubbs card, but that is not the case. So I don't know. I mean, I definitely want to see it because I do enjoy SpongeBob, but yeah, I mean, it was more of a surprising thing that, like, oh yeah, this movie was supposed to come out, a couple months ago, and then it got pushed. So
is it even made by the same creator? Because I thought he walked fairly recently because they restarted the show.
That I'm not sure. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't know either.
The animation
Someone look it up.
The animation is very, very different.
The person who created SpongeBob SquarePants did not come up with the story or write it or produce it or direct it. So
yeah,
well, that's disappointing for SpongeBob fans.
I think he said something along the lines of, once he was done, and he didn't want anyone to redo it. I remember reading some controversy about it, but it looks like Keanu Reeves is in this movie, so
he is.
Yeah,
I remember him from the trailer. He's like
popping into all the cartoons.
He's
got a big role. He's got a big August. We will talk about Keanu a little bit more in a sec. But that's August, or SpongeBob's August 7th. August 14th, we've got Wonder Woman 1984. If you've been listening to this, you should know we're excited for this film. Should have been out already. Should have been out last year at one point. But it seems like we're finally going to get it in August, and it should be a blast. But let's go right back into Keanu and the fact that this dude has just been on fire for the past, ever since John Wick came out. He's just been crushing it. Again, which is fantastic to watch. A lot of people are excited for this one. Bill and Ted, the return of them.
Yep.
JP, or no, Doug, you're talking Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yeah, so we were talking about trilogies earlier today, and we finally get the trilogy that at least I've been looking for with the Bill and Ted saga.
So pumped.
We've got Keanu Reeves returning as Ted. We've got Alex Winter back as Bill. We've got Death with William Sadler back. George Carlin obviously, unfortunately, passed away, so he will not be in the movie as Rufus. But I'm excited to get back to the story of Bill and Ted. It was always those were always movies that I wound up watching for whatever reason. Bogus Adventure with the whole afterlife, or Bogus Journey with the whole afterlife. And Hell just kind of always, I thought, was fun. What the imagination of Hell, where it was just this metal box basically that they would land in, and each room was just their own personal hell. I just thought was really creative. It was really fun. They go to heaven, just really a station with the elf-looking tiny things. It was just a fun movie. Excellent adventure. Not quite as nightmarish as Bogus Adventure, but still in its own right a fun movie to go through history. And I'm just excited to see what 3 Face the Music has in store. I think the fact that we get Death back shows that they they expect to tie in the first 2 movies to this third trilogy, hopefully wrap it up. I believe part of the plot is that Bill and Ted don't become the saviors of the world like they were supposed to with the Wild Stallions. So I'm interested to see what happened, why Bill and Ted didn't become the heroes that they were supposed to be, and how they right that wrong through a telephone booth that can travel through time.
All right, well, you've just spoiled a lot of 2 very old movies that I've never seen, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Really? You've never seen either one of these?
I've never seen the Bill and Ted movies. I've been familiar with the characters since the 90s, but I have never seen the films. I'm going to be watching them this summer.
You only got the tip of the iceberg with that.
Yeah, he didn't spoil that much.
Good. And you kept cutting out for me.
So twisted.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if this is happening for anyone else, but you cut out for me for half the things you said. So you didn't spoil too much for me.
We're good.
Well, that's good.
That second movie is so twisted, and it gave me nightmares for...
Yeah. The Easter Bunny and all that.
Yes. Specifically that scene.
That's the scene, yeah.
Forever. Oh, man.
And like the death challenges that they do where they can pick 3 games. So awesome. Murph, check it out before you see Face the Music.
I am absolutely going to watch both of them. I already DVR'd
on
one.
Netflix.
Okay, because I DVR'd one of them.
2 was on Netflix like a year or 2 ago.
I hadn't watched it yet. I'll have to take a look. All right. Opening the same day as Bill and Ted is Antebellum, a horror film starring Janelle earlier. I think JP and I were talking before. We don't even have really any idea what it's about. I don't know if there's time travel involved.
Time travel,
but
ghosts.
It looks like Janelle Monáe's just a modern woman, and then something happens, and she ends up in like Antebellum South. I believe she's a slave in it. I cannot say with 100% certainty because the trailer is fairly vague, but I get some sort of Get Out vibes from it. I believe it's a Blumhouse movie. And again, it is timely summer to be coming out. But I'm looking forward to seeing more about it and catching that in August. And then the last movie, which opens on the 28th of August, is the punching bag of the past 3 years, The New Mutants. Will it come out? We can't tell you. But
probably not.
I don't.
Probably not.
I don't think it's coming out.
Another crisis right before it comes out.
I don't think it's coming out.
An asteroid's going to just hit the Earth.
Lord,
the day before it's supposed to come out, and just nobody ever sees the New Mutants.
Can we live in a world where it doesn't end, but I still don't see New Mutants? Because I would love that.
That's fair.
Maybe it just blows up the house where all the canisters are, and we just never see the movie. I guess they don't have canisters anymore because everything's digital.
It's all digital.
Maybe the internet goes out. I don't know.
I was thinking about this earlier. How that movie, in any form, has not been leaked. I mean, we got Wolverine years and years ago online. It's been done for so long, or at least been in a done state in some way for so long. I'm so surprised that some version of the film hasn't leaked on the internet. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it probably is that at this point no one cares.
And I don't think that bodes well for its box office numbers either. You got one guy running security so it doesn't leak, and he's like, I do nothing all day. I just sit here and I watch no one try and hack our movie.
I thought we would have gotten a early cut of the movie at some point, that would have just been, on a torrent.
Hey, we might get it on HBO Max at some point.
Yeah.
The original
Speaking of box office, this summer is fascinating to watch what these movies actually make.
Yeah.
Because this is such an unprecedented situation. But any movies on here that you're really looking forward to, with the exception of Tenet and Wonder Woman? or does that kind of sum up what your top two would be for everyone?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, for King of Staten Island is definitely up there for me. I'm really excited to watch that.
I mean,
Anything Spike Lee does, I like his movies a lot. So I haven't watched the trailer for his new film yet, but I will be watching it right after we're done with this, and I'll probably get on the hype train, I'm sure, after that, because I like his movies. New Mutants, of course.
I'm going to be checking out the Unhinged trailer after this. JP's got me hyped for that.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out as well. I mean, it's just weird, you know. I mean, you wonder like what is actually going to be the highest grossing box office film out of these. I mean, and
it's
like
probably going to be Tenet.
if it comes out,
either Tenet
if it comes out in July,
Tenet or Wonder Woman.
I mean, Wonder Woman will do great. Yeah,
I don't think I'm of the mind that Tenet's going to get pushed, but that's me. I just don't think it's going to come out in July, but we'll see.
Yeah, we're about to find out if Warner Brothers risks of holding their the two biggest movies of the year for the summer are going to pay off or not.
Yeah. It's a good gamble for sure.
We probably will know in the next week or two whether Tenet is coming out this summer or not.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they've got to make the decision.
Yeah.
Soon.
Exactly.
No one else for Bill and Ted?
A lot less movies.
I mean, I'm definitely going to see it because
I have to see the first two.
Invested, but
yeah, once Murph sees the first two, he's going to be clamoring for it.
We could do
I mean, maybe it'll be maybe it'll be the best trilogy of all time. I don't know.
We could do we could do a film party, you know, over Zoom and watch it, Murph.
Yeah.
Watch the first
there
two.
You go.
Do
a marathon. We could do it on a Plex.
Yeah.
We can all watch together.
Yep.
Yeah. Just the quality of like revisiting old movies and redoing them in modern times. The track record is horrible. So my expectations for Bill and Ted are in the dumpster. But,
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I've watched them pretty recently. They hold up. They're good. They're still really good.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about remaking like a new.
Yeah, he's saying take an older movie. What worked in like
a long delayed sequel.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's been bad for me.
I haven't seen it, but Bad Boys apparently did a pretty good job of.
Bad Boys was awesome.
It looked good.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It's definitely one I'll check
out.
All right.
But let's move on from the summer movie preview and get into our recommendations, what we've been watching, things like that. So there was a decent amount that we either 2, 3, 4 of us watched over since our last recording. The first one we can start with, since it's been a recurring theme, has been Rick and Morty. They finished the season. I have seen the last 2 episodes. Doug, I believe you have. JP,
Yep.
You caught up as well?
No, I missed it, unfortunately. I've been lagging behind.
You missed the last 2?
Yeah, I missed the last 2. It's been...
Okay, so like, just overall thoughts, I think, for Murph and I.
Yeah, overall thoughts, I'd say the last 2 were not as good as the Vat of Acid episode, but they were better. Both of them were better than the first 2 episodes of this half season. So I do think they did a nice creative rebound overall compared to where it started, both for the season, the first half of the season of last year and the first couple episodes of this half season.
Was one of those ones the Jerry episode? With the
Jerry and the people?
The camping episode?
Correct, yeah.
I did see
4th
that
episode.
Okay, yeah, that was the 4th episode. Yeah, so I agree. 4 and 5 definitely weren't the strongest of the season. I think that goes to the Vat of Acid episode. That was just like classic Rick and Morty awesomeness. But 4 and 5 were good. They were enjoyable. I really like that 5. Not to give away anything, but 5 kind of went back to old plot threads that had been established in earlier seasons, I believe. And so that was nice that you kind of got a payoff. I think we're still waiting for some other big plot lines to be paid off that still haven't been paid off yet, but it at least shows that they plan on the fact that they paid off this last old plot thread, I think shows that probably other plot threads that they've left open will be paid off in future seasons. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, it ended with a serialized type of episode versus just your standard one-off. Next up is a movie that debuted on Netflix after it was supposed to come out in theaters in April, and that is The Lovebirds with Kumail Nanjiani, Issa Rae. Doug, I believe you watched it. Corey, did you check it out yet?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was going to check it out this weekend. It just didn't happen, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we can kind of go into our thoughts.
Yeah.
It's very much a wacky night out type of comedy. Just trying to make it through the night. Similar to if anyone has seen After Hours by Martin Scorsese, that's the kind of the first one that comes to mind. Kind of felt similar in tone to that, just more, I guess, a little more straightforward than that one. But Doug, what were your thoughts on the film?
So I expected it to be funnier, I think. So the beginning, I thought, really kind of hooked my wife and I when we were watching it. It was a lot of like funny things, I think, when you're in a relationship that they just kind of called out. And so I don't know if it would be as funny if I was just like a single guy watching it, but there was a lot of funny relationship stuff in the beginning that I think we got a lot of laughs in our household. The story overall, though, just seemed like very generic. And so I think I found myself I thought the beginning was strong. I was really going to enjoy it more than I did. And then it just kind of fell into just being a generic comedy. And so it was funny. Definitely got some laughs out of us. But it was pretty generic. And so I don't know that I would have spent money to go, or I'd recommend that anyone go spend money to see this movie. But if you can get it on Netflix, I think it's worth a watch.
Yeah. I would say the stuff that was the funniest was probably just the two going back and forth versus any of the craziness of the plot, which was only somewhat alluded to in the trailer with the full scope of what they're dealing with from the car accident where they're then accused of killing someone, which, spoiler alert, they did not kill anyone. But yeah, I thought the two of them had good chemistry. And Kumail Nanjiani is hilarious in everything that I've ever seen him in, whether it's Silicon Valley or The Big Sick, the movie that he previously had wrote, or Stuber with Dave Bautista. So I got laughs, but like you said, it wouldn't have been something that would have been worth paying for in theaters.
So I think you
ripped in this one.
He looked kind of ripped. Was he ripped?
Has he got the Marvel body in this one?
I feel like probably
he didn't
not,
look
right?
as soft, but I don't know if he was quite as ripped. He didn't pull his shirt off
for that Marvel.
Yeah, he did get
for Eternals.
Definitely not Eternals jacked yet, but
Gotcha.
He seemed like he was in.
I'm sure he did that
shape.
like before he started filming Eternals.
But yeah, he had no like gratuitous shirtless scene in the movie where it was just like, I am Kamal.
It's weird seeing him like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of a role that was weird and was a bit of a transformation, let's go right into Uncut Gems. It's been a top 10. It was,
or is that just what Adam Sandler's like all the time?
It was a very different role for Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah.
That is what I mean by transformation. It's not his usual dumb guy movie. But
it is a movie about a dumb guy.
Oh, yes, it is. Howard Ratner is a buffoon.
Dumb guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's out on Netflix now. I know we all have watched it, all caught up on it. What was everyone's feeling on the film as a whole? I know everyone is kind of in agreement that it's an insane sort of film and anxiety-inducing to a degree.
I think it's kind of polarizing though among this group, though, right?
I would
It
say
might
so.
be. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I know. I've actually enjoyed it. I've watched it 3-4 times now, and each time I've
that's you
each
itself.
each time I've seen it, I've enjoyed it more and more. Just because
Corey's doing some sort of a experiment to see how high he can get his blood pressure. I don't know why he's doing it, but
No, the last time the movie barely affected me, but I think that's because I've seen it so many times.
it's part of the experiment.
Yeah.
Seeing how.
Yeah, I'm desensitized at this point.
Yeah, Corey's just numb at this point.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely enjoyed it more as I've seen it because I've noticed subtle things that I think that the Safdie brothers have kind of just sprinkled in. But I mean, the movie is incredibly difficult to watch, and it's just, I mean, we've talked about this. There's so many things that they did purposefully to make the audience whatever anxious in any way, between the conversations that, I mean, the movie starts immediately and you see, Howard Ratner's fucking ass, his
rectum.
His rectum, and immediately it goes into these crazy conversations, crazy dialogue, and it's just off the rails from the start. But I mean, Adam Sandler just killed it. I mean, he was fantastic. I think that was probably his, other than Punch Drunk Love, probably his best role that he has ever done, and it shows that he can act for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely act. He did a great job, embodying that character. But I mean, it's not a movie you watch if you're having a good day.
No,
It's not a movie you watch if you're
not.
teetering on the edge of having a
Not
good
at
day
all.
or a bad day.
yeah.
I don't even know when you watch this movie, to be perfectly honest, because I was having a good day, and then I was staring at the screen when it was over, and I said, I hate every person in this movie.
In defense
They're
of
all garbage people.
in defense of me,
They are all.
both times that I watched
including
it,
Kevin Garnett and The Weeknd.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett was horrible, and so was The Weeknd.
He needed his stone or whatever.
He's trying to steal the rock, and he's just
yeah,
Oh, man,
everyone's
it's-
terrible in that movie. Everyone.
they're so bad. It's just the dumbest. It is an anxious
Yeah.
movie, and I feel like I'm on the streets of New York City, and people are bumping into me and saying mean things to me as they pass. I felt like I was there, and I was rooting for no one
No.
at the
Yep.
end of the movie. I was rooting. There was one person that I was really hardcore rooting against, and that was the one thug guy because I didn't like him.
Arno?
I don't remember. No. One of his
No one knows but
goons.
Corey.
One of
He's
his
watched
goons,
it 20 times.
But man, they're just the worst people.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. It really was you could, if you could take a bunch of negative energy and just
Yeah.
shove it into a movie,
Yeah.
it's here's Uncut Gems. And it was it was a great platform for Adam Sandler to be look, I can act, I can be this fucking character that you would never expect me to be, but to be Corey and to say I want to see this again, I don't know how that could happen.
So-
I never want to see that
It's
movie again.
he found the farthest thing from a comedy that he could put himself into acting. He said, "This is a comedy, and this over here is Uncut Gems. You're not going to laugh. You're not going to feel good,
So
and I'm just going to be acting."
I know Murph has, but have either of you seen the Safdie brothers' other film, Good Time? That
No.
movie
No, that's
is
the one
I'm guessing
Robert
it's not a
Pattinson.
good time.
with Robert Pattinson.
It is a miserable time.
That movie affected me. I think that movie was worse than it was a great film, but it was more
I look forward to
depressing.
never watching it.
Yeah,
More
I'll never
depressing
see that movie.
than-
I'll never watch that.
It was insane. But
I'm going to have to see
Check it out on
Robert Pattinson.
Netflix if you want to be miserable.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
mean,
having a good day and don't want to have a good
Alright,
day anymore.
Tradition this, so let's just fucking go on to Sonic the Hedgehog. Some of you guys
Thinking about
watched
another way to
very
ruin your
recently.
day.
What were your thoughts on Ben Schwartz?
killed it.
Oh, we're talking Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he killed it. I think he did a great job. Way better than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I had no problem with Ben Schwartz as Sonic. I actually agree. I think he did a really good job. I'm not a huge Ben Schwartz fan, but as Sonic, I didn't question it. It felt like Sonic to me. The movie as a whole, I thought, was kind of on the generic side as far as good parts of the movie. I thought there were a lot of great Easter eggs if you watch the TV show or you're familiar with the Sonic franchise. I thought Ben Schwartz did a great job as voicing Sonic, and I thought Jim Carrey was fun with his Dr. Robotnik. I'm Jim Carrey, and I'm going to do crazy things and be my crazy self. I thought the Dr. Robotnik role was kind of perfect for him. It kind of felt like a return to like an Ace Ventura, but just kind of evil but like took the eccentric on the evil side. I don't know, Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I mean, Jim Carrey, it was definitely a return to form for him. I thought it was a role that he was definitely born to play.
Born to play
Dr. Robotnik. Like he was great. Like his style of comedy, his physical style of comedy played very well with that character. And as I said before, Ben Schwartz I thought was great. I really liked the whole cast. It was clearly like a very, lighthearted plot, but they had fun with it. Like they tried to make it as fun as possible. And surprisingly, the special effects were fantastic. I'm of the mind that I believe in the theory that the original design of Sonic was just a marketing scheme to get people riled up.
I don't agree.
I don't agree with that.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it was probably the best decision they ever made was to give into like the pressure of all that, because I think they got a lot of goodwill by changing that design. New Sonic looked great, but original Sonic was scary.
It was the stuff of nightmares.
And they also had to push the movie back 3 months because of that.
Yeah. I mean, for me,
that was bad.
What I realized one of the reasons why that original Sonic didn't work, because I mean he was like horrifying, but he looked too human. He had too many human features, and it didn't play well with like the very like cartoon kind of feel that they were going for, which should be the feel that they would go for with that type of movie. And changing it really, it played better. It was the jokes were better. He looked better.
Yeah. He looked great. I thought he looked exactly what I thought Sonic should look like. So
I mean, I know
they did a good job.
I know they hired the guy who made Sonic Mania to come in and help with the redesign of Sonic. So I don't know. I feel like that it was kind of a marketing ploy. That's a theory online, but I kind of agree with it. But I'm happy how it turned out. It could have been a disaster, and it was a lot of fun.
If I was involved in that movie, I'd love to sell that story that it was a marketing ploy, but I just don't think they were clever enough for that. And I think it was just they had a bad design, and thankfully public opinion weighed in and kind of course corrected that. But I think because Sonic was one of the on the tail end of box office movies, right? So I think Sonic actually did pretty well in theaters. Overall, right?
It did really
well.
I think
second biggest movie of the year. I think.
No, it did really well.
There's a sequel in the works too now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's to look forward to.
I think the redesign definitely paid off, because I think if they didn't redesign that character, it probably wouldn't have done as well.
No way. Because I mean, there were definitely people that went and saw it, multiple times. I wanted to go see it a second time, but just with timing, I just never got around to it. But I thought it was a lot of fun. Way better than I thought it was going to be. Way better.
Yeah, I agree. It was fun.
Let's get into our individual recommendations then for what we've been watching this past week. Corey, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I watched I was in a Silence of the Lambs mood, so I watched Silence of the Lambs and then I watched Red Dragon, but I chose Red Dragon because that's always been my favorite out of the three Anthony Hopkins movies. So that's the movie that I'm choosing. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I would absolutely watch it. It's fantastic. Directed by Brett Ratner, right? If I remember correctly. Ray Fiennes is in it, and Edward Norton, and obviously Anthony Hopkins. And it's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, and it's a really, really great mystery, horror mystery, I guess, type of film thriller. I haven't watched it in a really long time, so I just felt inclined to watch that. So that was my classic pick, I guess, for the week. And I didn't feel like watching anything new.
Is that the one with Cordell?
No, that's Hannibal.
No,
That's Hannibal. Right?
Yeah. This is the one with with Ray Fiennes.
Do you see?
Yeah, that
See.
I haven't watched that movie in probably 10 years. I'm due to watch it.
Yeah.
It's so different from the other two, but now I kind of want to watch the Netflix show and actually finish it. I'm like in the mood now again.
Yeah.
Now it's Netflix.
I think it's now on Netflix.
Yeah. So
Time.
that'll
It
probably
was
be
Amazon before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Amazon. It was an NBC television show originally, but Amazon had streaming.
Yeah. So that'll probably be something that I dive into pretty soon because I'm in the mood. But yeah, that's my pick.
That was a fun show.
Yeah, you guys
that
liked
was
it a lot. You guys liked it a lot.
Fantastic show.
Yeah, I think Murph and I have been clamoring for them to bring it back
Well,
for another season.
real quick, I mean, do you guys think that, especially now, I meant to ask you this, but do you think now that Netflix has the rights, officially, do you think that they might throw their money because they just go and just give their money to everything? Do you think they'll do the movie?
Does Mads have anything going on right now?
Mads,
I think they've asked him fairly recently, and he was down to do it. I just think there's going to be problems with. They're supposed to be doing a Clarice Starling TV show on CBS or something like that,
really?
which probably will be the worst thing in the world.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah,
Before Silence of the Lambs?
I think it takes place either before. Yeah, I think
Probably
Silence of
before.
the Lambs, like her during training or something like
I was
that.
gonna say she was a brand new FBI agent, so it'd have to be during her training.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was still in the academy during Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, so I don't know how they would be able to do it, but it would be awesome to see that version of Hannibal in doing Silence of the Lambs and then finishing up the series in a sort of kind of coming up with a new ending post Silence of the Lambs Hannibal.
Yeah.
Since they already did the Hannibal arc on the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all want to kind of see Mads back in the role of Hannibal.
Oh, he was so good. So good. From what I saw, I watched the first season and a half of the second season, but he was so good. Very different than Anthony Hopkins, but just awesome. So good.
I think he's better, but that may be fighting words.
Yeah.
No.
I think he's better too.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. From the bit I saw, different.
It's
but I think it's
similar,
better.
but it sells to me more psychopath than I think Anthony Hopkins.
It's definitely way more subtle for sure. Yeah, I think I would agree, but I have to watch the whole thing to make a definitive decision. We'll see.
We'll get on that and report back.
Yeah, I will.
Absolutely. Doug, you didn't exactly go back to 2002 with yours. Your recommendation is a very new one. Want to get into The Gentleman?
Sure. So it's available to rent right now. I didn't see it on any streaming service. If it's available on a streaming service, then I feel like shit because I paid money for this.
I don't think it is.
But I rented The Gentleman. Great cast: Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Grant, Colin Farrell, Charlie something from Sons of Anarchy.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy. So fantastic cast, directed by Guy Ritchie. Felt very much like a Guy Ritchie movie. The whole movie is told from one character telling another character, like the events that transpired up until that point, which to me just kind of just reeked of the director that was telling the story, but was fun, interesting way to tell a story. Hugh Grant doesn't even almost can't even tell it's Hugh Grant. Does a very Cockney type accent, just feels like a completely different, just disgusting character. And I loved it. I love that he took on that role. I love that he was kind of he's not the rom-com character that you typically are used to. Just like this despicable, terrible character. Story was interesting. You got to pay attention because there's twists on twists on twists. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. Would recommend renting it, and probably we're a few weeks to a month away from it being available, probably from free on either a streaming network or like an HBO or one of those premium channels, I would guess.
Cool. We'll have to check it out. JP, you want to get into your film?
Yeah, we'll go back to a movie set in about 2002. Go back to what Corey was saying. Yeah, I had a little David Fincher marathon, but I had not seen Social Network, so it was new to me this week, and it was a great movie. I mean, it probably would have been a little more poignant 5-10 years ago when I was on social media more, but in a time where I'm not really on social media that much, it's kind of funny that I'm watching this now. But it was great. I mean, it's a classic David Fincher movie. Not a whole lot goes on, but it's just more like the drama and all that. And Jesse Eisenberg was great. He was surprisingly a little more different than his usual stammering self. He was a little calmer, which I kind of liked. Andrew Garfield was good, even though I'm not really a huge fan of Andrew Garfield. And Armie Hammer as two characters was great, and it made me wonder what could have been with the Winklevis with what could have been as Armie Hammer as Batman. I feel like
almost got it.
Made a pretty decent Batman.
We almost got it.
Would've.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's got a deep voice.
Yep.
What did you think of that Sorkin script?
I thought it was good. I mean,
heavy dialogue.
Yeah.
I think that movie has one of the best cold openers of any recent film, because I've watched it recently.
The date.
Yeah, that first scene is just like an attention grabber. So good. So good.
And it really makes you not love Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh yeah, immediately.
And I mean, to think about what he's turned into after that movie,
right?
Came out is
it's
wild
scary
too, because you could write probably a whole nother movie just from that on.
Aaron Sorkin's talked about writing a part 2.
I mean, I would watch it if they could get Fincher back. That would be.
Man doesn't do sequels, right?
He did Alien 3.
Well, his own sequel. He doesn't do sequels to his own movies.
I mean, that's fine.
There has been such a long time, though, since I could definitely see him diving back into that world, and it would be a very different sequel.
Yeah.
Very much, yeah.
Since it would be dealing with it wouldn't be about friendship and a dissolution of one, but about much larger issues going on in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess, I don't know, assuming you guys know this, but I know at least at the time, I don't know if you still do, Murph, you've considered Social Network a masterpiece and probably one of your top films. You still feel that way, or?
When I kind of did my ranking of the last decade, from 2010 to 2019, The Social Network ended up right at number 1. I think it's an incredible film, and would recommend it to anyone, whether they're on social media or not, because I don't think you need to be on social media to get the film. It's very much more about more basic things in life, like friendship.
Yeah, like don't trust your friends when you start a business with them.
They will
Your friend's a
fuck you.
robot. Probably don't go into business with them, or at least get a lawyer when you read contracts and stuff.
Yeah, or if Justin Timberlake shows up, get him the fuck out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's that's part of my house rules. If Justin Timberlake shows up to my house, he's gone. I don't want him in. He's getting shooed out.
be cautious of twins. I think was another lesson we learned.
Probably.
Yeah.
Don't trust twins.
Even though, I mean,
The twins are the ones who get more fucked over.
They were probably the most trustworthy people in the entire movie because they're kind of goons, and they believe in the little robot man, and he took their idea and ran with it. Yeah, I mean, in the pantheon of David Fincher movies, it's definitely up there, but Zodiac will always be, or at least for now, number one.
I'm due to rewatch that and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Every 3 months.
Yeah. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? Have you seen that, JP?
I have not seen that, so that's next on the list.
Oh, you haven't seen Dragon? Holy shit.
You would absolutely like that movie. I think that you would really like.
It's got another great score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Because that is one thing that I think should be always mentioned with Social Network is first.
Yeah. No, the score is fantastic. The movie was damn near perfect.
I gotta see it again because I think Murph thinks it's. Murph, you think it's perfect, right?
Yeah, I think it's like a Back to the Future type movie where I can't find any weak links or any like excess scenes or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a very
you gotta
see it again.
It's a very tight film. I agree.
Yeah, my kind of alley.
I've got to see it again because I only saw it the one time in theaters.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your rewatch feedback, and then really looking forward to JP's feedback on the final two movies in his Fincher rewatch or watch in those two cases.
Got one coming out this year too for Netflix. He's supposed to at least. So
yep, which I cannot wait for.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, and then speaking of Netflix, the last one for the week was what I watched. And that was Oh Hello on Broadway. For those not familiar with it, it's John Mulaney and Nick Kroll. They're reprising. Nice. Yeah, they were on Broadway for I think like 3-4 months for about 100 something shows. They're reprising these like old man characters that they did on the Kroll show. I saw them do them on Portlandia. They've been on Conan and stuff like that as them. Fucking hilarious. It takes like, I wasn't too familiar with these characters, and it's very much something where you feel when you're watching it feels like very like insidery, like you should have already known who these characters are. But once you get into it, maybe like 15 minutes, and you like really understand who these characters are, it is hysterical. John Mulaney, I never seen him like act outside of SNL, and the little bits of acting he did in the Sack Lunch Bunch special on Netflix. But he acts his ass off on this. His character is basically like I don't know if he's a psychopath or sociopath, but he is, mark my words, he's going to be doing shit like Adam Sandler down the road where he's doing dramatic work in addition to comedies. Watch this show. I think you'll like it, and it gives me a kind of an idea of how something like Hamilton will work, like a play that is or a musical from Broadway that's on a streaming service like afterwards after just being filmed, because I had never seen anything like that before.
I'll let you borrow a VHS copy of Cats if you want. You can see how that works too. The Broadway one.
Lucky you.
I just watched.
We could have a viewing.
We can watch that all together.
I got to find a way to stream my VCR, but sure.
Live watch Cats VHS.
Ugh.
I think any mention of cats means we should probably get the hell out of here. Thank you all for watching. We will be back. We're going to try to be doing this on a weekly basis. It had been a little bit of a lag since our last one, but we also had a little bit of lag with posting our first two. So maybe it doesn't feel like it's been that long since our last episode. But we're going to do this weekly moving forward. So as always, please give any feedback you got. We're all ears. But any last words, JP, Doug, or Corey?
You want to plug Facebook and Twitter?
Yeah, we do have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube account. In addition to posting the audio versions on iTunes, Spotify, etc. So, Corey, you do your video editing magic to include links to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know
subscribe, hit the bell.
Yeah, I mean,
all those sorts of things.
I know we're gonna start posting the videos, the video podcasts as well at some point. So, we'll start posting those once we get that figured out. But right now we have just the audio, and just like and subscribe. And yeah, that's a bit work in progress, right?
That's what this whole fucking thing is. It's a work in progress.
We're getting there.
If this was a trilogy, would this, as the third episode, would this be the best one, would we say? Or did we peak? Or did we peak with number 2? Oh, all right, there we go.
I think
Dark Knight Rises.
I think we're getting better. We're just getting better and better.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Take care.
Bye, guys.